All right. Hello, everyone. So today we are going to do our first interview with Damir First.
Hi, everyone.
Yep. And he is, a lover and practitioner of warrior skills, such as archery, various martial arts.
Tai Chi, Jiu-Jitsu, like a lot of stuff, yes.
Yeah. He's a lecturer at Xiamen University, which you can't really see in the background there, but it's right below our...
Maybe you can just like...
Yeah, let's see. Oh, let's see if we can get a little tiny view right over here. Yeah, see that university right down there in the mountain? That is Xiamen University, and he's a lecturer there. And right now a doctoral student.
Yes, for too many years.
Yeah. And let's see, what else do we got on that list there too? Lecturer. You're a model too?
Occasionally, yes, in China,
Uh-huh.
because I feel like being a model in China is a very weird experience, which almost anyone can have.
Yeah.
As long as you have white skin, you can be a model here. So,
Mhm.
At least for the next few years. So,
Yeah. Yeah. But Damir is actually, quite honestly, one of the smartest people I've met too. Well, most intelligent. So, yeah, just giving you a whole bunch of compliments there.
That's super awkward for the beginning of a video interview. I don't know how to act. I'm just gonna say thank you.
Okay, well, why don't I just call you the stupidest person I know?
Well, there's a small difference between those two, I guess.
Anyway, so today I just wanted to talk to you about perhaps some of your country hopping that you've been to. I know you've been to Japan.
Yes.
And we're in China right now. We're in Xiamen, China right now.
Beautiful city, by the way. Xiamen is a wonderful place.
And so, have you been to other countries besides Japan and China?
Well, I traveled. So I'm originally from Croatia. And Croatia is quite a small country. It has 4 million people altogether, which is kind of like this city in China. So whenever I go back home, if people ask me, where do I live in China? I say, I live in this small town. It's like on an island.
Uh-huh.
It's got 4 million people.
Uh-huh.
And then everybody kind of, their jaws drop and they're like, okay. Yeah. So, I come originally from Europe. Croatia is a Mediterranean country. It has one part, a beautiful part of the coast, which is very much like Italy or Greece. And the other part is a bit more like German, Middle European.
Mm.
So when I was young, I traveled quite a lot in Europe because it's very easy and convenient. So I don't know, I've been to Germany, Austria, I've been to the Netherlands, I've been to Italy, Malta. I went to Malta. Yeah, we had like a high school trip to Malta. And then when I was 24, I came to Japan for the first time, and I actually studied Japanese. That was my kind of like hobby. Which I started to study because I was really interested in martial arts, and when I learned some basic martial arts vocabulary in Japanese, I was like, well, okay, that's enough. I can now start studying the language because I know how to say right and left and count to 10. So of course I was already like halfway there, right? So I applied for a scholarship in Croatia and I got it, and then I just came to Tokyo for 1 year, and I was living in Tokyo in 2008, 2009, and I loved it. I really enjoyed it, and not only the experience of being in Japan, which is a story by itself, and we can talk about that separately. But the reason I liked it so much was because of the people. I just met like tons of people from all over the world, and they were all very interesting people who are like traveling abroad, who also are very open. We would have these dinners where there would be like 8 people and 5 people would, like, most of us would be speaking English, but some of them would be speaking to each other in Spanish or French. And I really enjoy this kind of dinner atmosphere of like 3 different languages like being shot across the table at each other, at people. And so after that, I came back to Croatia for a year. And I switched from learning Japanese to Chinese because I did my thesis was about Zen art, and then I realized that like origins of Zen, this is so super boring, I think.
I think it's pretty interesting.
Okay, sure. So yeah, I kind of realized that like Latin language in Europe is the Latin and Greek are like the core languages for science, right?
Yeah.
But also of culture.
Yeah.
So like most of the culture comes from like it's the cradle of Western civilization.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was studying Japanese, I realized if I really want to deeply understand more about Chinese culture, Japanese culture, I have to get more into Chinese because Chinese is like the Latin of Asia. Yeah. So I started studying some Chinese just for fun.
Mm-hmm.
And it turned out that, learning Japanese helped me with Chinese. Surprise, surprise. And I just kept studying. And then I applied for a scholarship when I came to China. And then when I was here, I traveled to the Philippines quite a few times. I've been to Thailand. I still haven't visited some of the other Southeast Asian countries, but it's pretty cool. Like, yeah, traveling is nice.
Yeah. And I think what you said about Chinese being the Latin of Asia, that's totally true. Because I've also been to Thailand. And when I was learning Thai there, my Chinese helped me a lot with Thai. Because there's, even when you hear the numbers, a lot of the numbers are very similar. And you see that in Japanese too, right?
Sure.
Yeah. So so tell us more about your experience in Japan. So let me ask. It was your first time in Asia, right?
Yes, and my first time abroad, like living abroad.
Well, you've been to other. So you don't count other European countries as abroad?
I mean, like I came to Japan to live there for a year, so it was like a pretty big deal. So I mean, I don't consider, in Chinese you can say "住," which means like to live, but you say it also if you rent. Yeah, if you rent a room. But for me, like living somewhere is like minimum. I would say minimum 1 month. Just to get a little bit of taste what's going on, how people live,
exactly.
The tempo of life, the lifestyle, what people do in their free time. If you're on a trip for 10 days or 5 days, you can't really say. You can say, okay,
might as well just go
I've been to Japan for like how long? For 3 days. Like how many cities did you visit? 7.
Yeah.
Like, do you remember which one is which? No, but I've been there. Look, I got this plastic katana.
Yeah, it's almost like fetishized, Like it's like, let's go to a country for 3 days, and it's like it's like almost like a check off list.
Sure,
that's all it really is. And I totally agree with you with like the 1 month stay. That's also why I stayed in Thailand, for 1 month. And especially staying with locals too.
Right.
And did you get that experience in Japan?
Yeah, I had quite a few like close Japanese friends who they all kind of were very helpful. Actually, Japanese people are like extremely helpful and very polite, quite generous, well-mannered, very well-mannered. So I had a few kind of good friends, but to actually say I had like close friends, it took some time. Actually, it took almost the entire year to get to the point of a friend relationship where I felt like we are genuinely friends, where we can like discuss things together which are a bit more personal and so on. So, I would say Westerners are more open to like shorten this period where you can be okay with someone, have a good vibe, and then like from that like transition into real friendship, whatever that means.
Yeah. Like, I was actually just going to ask you about that. Like, like the Japanese culture with in accordance to like friends, you did feel a huge difference from like.
Yeah, well, I mean, like I am almost 2 meters tall and I have a beard and long hair, and I've had it for quite some time. So I am a distinctly different looking person in Asia. Like in most places where I go, I don't really blend in. So it was never for me a problem. but I was really aware of the difference in the way that I look, making the distance a bit more apparent, you know. But as with every other thing, of course, you find people that you click with, that you enjoy spending time with, you have similar hobbies. So in the end, it was cool. Yeah, it was fine. I didn't feel it totally made it more difficult, but I think that it is difficult because in general it's different. Like, people are different in different parts of the world. So, you know, making really good friends on a deeper level requires a little bit of chemistry. Like, it's that's important.
And like me myself, I've also found in China it's kind of hard to make Chinese friends.
Right.
Sometimes I
But you have a Chinese girlfriend, right?
Yeah, of course. And it's
of course.
Yeah. Well, but it's, you know, like, it's kind of like what you were saying with your girlfriend too. Like, you guys clicked very quickly, right? And me and Fanfan, was the first night we also clicked, just like first 2 hours, you know. And like, that's the thing with most Chinese people, though. Like, sometimes it's hard being a foreigner to find Chinese friends, because a lot of Chinese people want to find foreign friends to practice English, right?
Right. Yeah.
And how do you feel about that situation?
Well, I get it. I understand it. Like, you know, I come from Croatia is a very homogenized country, meaning like most of the people look the same, act the same. We don't have such a huge number of minorities. Almost no black people, almost no Asians. I think Croatia has like 300 Chinese people altogether, which I know it sounds really crazy. So it's like a building, you know, like one building.
Yeah, one building of Chinese people in the entire country.
In the entire country. So I understand. Like, you know, people want to do something with somebody different. But of course, sometimes it's tiring. You know, you don't want to be the guy who's just like there to practice English with, and kind of like a token friend. You know, it's like, oh look, I have like a white friend. He's like a white guy or like a white girl. You know, and foreign guy, and you know, he's cool. Look how cool he is. And then you're like, kind of like, hey, like, I'm Damir. Like, I just want to have dinner with you guys, like, and that's it. Like, so yeah. I mean, in the beginning it was a bit tough, but you know, you find your people, like, with everywhere. And you find your things, like the stuff you like to do. So that makes it easier.
Yeah. So like, I think that would also be something that some people would be interested in, is like, when you get to a new country, in a new place, you probably don't even know the language and whatnot. How do you make friends? Like, because you're a very you're a very social person, and I think and like, what I see is that you just kind of know everyone.
Okay, well, I mean, so first of all, Xiamen is like really a small town in Chinese standards, right?
Yeah.
The second thing is, I'm quite social because like I like to do sports, I like to study, I like to do research. I you know, my PhD is in anthropology, so it's my job to have an open mind. You know, it's like the requirement for doing well what I'm supposed to be doing. So I try to keep my, you know, judgment, like being less judgmental than the average person, I guess, whatever that means also. But I would say that, like, you know, if you're less judgmental, it helps you make friends because, you know, like in China, people are very oriented towards like pragmatism. They like to be pragmatic. They like to have a friend who is also helpful for, you know, getting some documents, or like, you know, trading to Poland or whatever, you know. So they're quite oriented on this guanxi and these like connections, relations, right? And I guess because of this, in China it's kind of easy to make friends because, you know, if you're like a foreigner who has, and I'm like a teacher in the university, so in China being a teacher is like still a very respected occupation, being a doctor, a teacher, lawyer, you know.
Which is something in America, teachers are like the lowest tier.
Right.
And it's really strange. Like even in America, when I worked in a toy store, like before I came to China, and one day.
Well, that explains a lot.
Yeah, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But like there was one day that I saw a customer looking at some books, and I came over to her and I started talking to her, and it's like, wow, you seem so teacherly, you know, you seem so like educated and like so, you know, because teachers have like this aura to them where it's like, you know, they would be good at teaching like kids.
Good teachers.
Yeah. And so
not
like
all teachers.
So like after my boss heard me say like you look like a teacher, she said, "Don't say that." And I was like, "Why?" And she told me because people don't like to be called teachers. It's a very low end job, you know. And to me, I don't really think. I think teachers should be respected, and I respect teachers.
Well, I mean, everybody should be respected if they're doing a job that they want to do. Like, if you're in it because part of you wants to do it, then, like, yeah, you know, people should inherently...
All right, so the video just got cut off because it filled up my phone, but we're going to continue. We were just talking
Surprise!
about...
Now
exactly.
we edited out the hair.
What hair? Oh, yeah. You just anyway, we were just talking about how teachers are seen in America and how China. And like in China, teachers are like a really high position. They're seen as very, very important.
Right.
And like you even said, like I think you were equating them on the same level as doctors, right?
Yeah. I mean, you're a chef.
Yeah, exactly.
You're a master of something, you know? So yeah, I mean, but actually we were talking about how to make friends, right? So
yeah, that too.
The idea is this, like, I feel the best way to make friends, like not only in China but anywhere, is like, first of all, you need to know something that you like to do. So, like, if you like to do yoga, you go to a yoga studio and you meet people who do yoga, you know. And, you know, usually if you're into yoga, you're going to be also probably be into healthy diets, you know, maybe being a bit, like, more inclined to self-reflection. So, of course, you know, you will find people who probably are similar. If you like to do archery, you go to an archery range and you will find people who are like nerding out about bows and doing archery. And you know, maybe also part of them, they are also into like the whole martial arts kind of idea of, you know, using weapons in this world where you like ancient weapons that are totally unnecessary. So, which is the case for me. I always kind of like have that historical perspective, like the idea of, you know, why people still train, why people still find valuable these skills from the past. So, I mean, here you can find, and if you approach, I feel like if you approach the thing that you like with some sort of respect and a little bit of knowledge about history, you will find all doors open, because people will see that you're approaching them with like a respectful manner. And especially that's really great if you're in a foreign country, because, like, you know, if I go to a martial artist in China and I talk to him and I say, you know, I've always been interested in like Taiji or, you know, like Shaolin, fist or whatever, you know, any kind of thing. First they're gonna be a little bit skeptical, you know, and why would they? Then if you give them a little bit, you know, you show them that you understand a little bit about it and that you're really into it, in the end you might become, actually I've seen quite a few white people, foreigners, not actually white people. I come from Europe. In Europe it's not an issue in the South.
And
like
also in China, like race is it's not a sensitive subject like it is in America.
So anyway, yeah, I mean, like, you know, if you're a foreigner and usually you will find, not usually, sometimes you will find in like a school of martial arts or some traditional skill, you know, you will find that like one guy or girl who is like more hardcore than the local people who are doing it, you know? So it's like, you said that you would like to maybe train Aikido one day. There's a really good book by a guy called Robert Twigger, and it's called Angry White Pajamas. And he talks about, he was taking the special course, the Aikido course for the Tokyo Metropolitan Police.
Okay.
And it's like an intensive course, I guess, like, 5 times a week, 4 hours a day, or like 6 hours a day of doing Aikido.
Whoa.
And it had like a dropout rate of, I think, like maybe 70% or 80%.
Whoa.
So
That sounds like fucking college music theory and calculus.
well, I mean, yeah, it's like, it's, if you really want to do it, then, this is the place to like sharpen your teeth. So anyway, like in the book, he says, like, there was one guy who was training us, a British guy, and he was worse than all the other teachers. He was worse than all the Japanese teachers put together, because he was like a foreigner who made it. So he was like even more strict than all the other guys. So yeah, I mean, like, in a way, you will find people like this, who are like really dedicated to a craft, especially in Asia, where there's a lot of people who I feel, they come here because right now, in this moment in history and time, Asia is a very attractive place. Soon it's going to become like mainstream, but it's still not mainstream. We're still kind of, outside of the mainstream events, especially people who came. I mean, I came to China 7 years ago, so I decided to stay because I really liked the place. Despite my initial reservations, I never thought I was going to be living in China. I never thought I was going to stay here for so many years. Yeah. So anyway, how to make friends. Do stuff you like and be respectful.
Okay, so you can edit down the language. No, dude, like that was really cool, kind of like tangent there too.
Right.
Like seriously, like this is informal. This is just two guys talking, man. Seriously.
Two guys having a chat.
Just
Hanging out in a Buddhist temple on the mountain.
Yeah, exactly.
By the way, we're like in a beautiful temple in Xiamen, which is 1,400 years old, and it has a beautiful view of the sea and the campus.
Yeah, which I did give in the beginning of the video. But actually being here is it's kind of like a dream. Being in these different places. Yeah. Oh,
It's like a dream.
Like we just went to Hallmark, we picked up the shittiest card and we opened it. It's like, well, your eyes are like a dream. But seriously, like coming to other countries, it's like you both get disappointed and you feel like everything always feels otherworldly.
True. Yeah, it's true. But then you realize that, people put their trousers on one leg at a time, and they go to sleep in a bed, and they wake up in the morning and have breakfast, and it's like actually everybody's the same. The world is not so different. Travel helps you understand that. And I mean, Mark Twain said it very nicely, like some 150 years ago or something. He said, traveling is fatal to bigotry and racism. I'm paraphrasing. But that's the thing. Like when you meet other people and you realize that they're almost the same in you in every way, except for the way they look and dress. You can't really. They're not foreign anymore.
Yeah.
People become, in the end, similar. They just have different quirks, but everybody wants the same thing. So that's also a part of anthropology that I really like, because you understand that. The people in the world live in a different way, but almost everybody wants the same things.
And like being in just 2 countries already, I'm starting to see that. But so I think this is a good place to just kind of stop, end the interview.
Right.
And I just want to ask you, so what is one or more books that you think really have influenced your life?
Okay, so you asked me this before because I prepared. Can you hand me my phone?
Yeah, sure.
Because I read a lot. I love reading.
Mm-hmm.
So I will. How many books can I tell you about?
Let's keep it to 3.
Okay, 3 books.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so the first book that comes to mind is called *Sapiens* by Israeli writer, and it's a really great book for anybody who's interested in, let's say, anthropology and like the actual or history, and like a really kind of like direct way. He will tell you about, you know, some things that we don't really consider in everyday life, but they're what make us human. For instance, language. So how did we develop language? Why do we have the ability to speak? And, you know, in one point of the book, he says something like, you know, so why do humans send other humans into space and frogs don't? Because they had the same amount of time, you know, to develop, to evolve. He talks about money. You know, what is the idea of money? How do people actually create these abstract ideas that don't exist, and then they use them to cooperate? Because actually money doesn't exist, right? Like, money is just a piece of paper. You cannot eat it, and yet people kill for it and, you know, change lives for it. So that's a really cool book. So *Sapiens: A Brief History of Humankind*. So that's my first recommendation. My second recommendation is a book by Erich Fromm, a German philosopher and scientist, and it's called *The Art of Loving*.
Okay.
And *Art of Loving*, and it's an old book. It's from the 1950s. But what he talks about, he says, the ability to love people is a skill like any other skill. You need to work on it to become better at it. So he says, if you want to be a good lover, or a parent, or a brother, or a friend, you have to develop ways in which you can first love and respect yourself, and then love and respect others. I would say the main takeaway of this book is that most of us actually have no idea how to have a good relationship. And we were never taught that. Everybody kind of says love is something that happens naturally, and then, you know, you're in love and your partner understands you, and everything you do is this, you know, fatal, destined thing between two people who are really fit for each other. No, it's like, it's bullshit. Can I say bullshit? I'm gonna say bullshit,
dude.
So
you can say whatever the fuck you want.
So it's bullshit, because actually nobody that you've ever met, you can click with them without communication. So, like, you know, communication is a key skill to anything, and especially with someone who is the closest person to you. You know, you don't become closest to someone if you don't know how to talk and be open. Yeah. So that would be Erich Fromm. Book number 3. So many good books, but I'm gonna go for another non-fiction book.
Okay.
So a non-fiction book number 3 is called *The Illuminates Mind*, and it's a primer on meditation. It's by a guy called John Keats. He is a psychotherapist and a neuroscientist, and he's been meditating for more than 40 years. He's also a grandmaster of Buddhist Theravada school of meditation teaching, and he is extremely clear and scientific writer who talks about meditation in a no-nonsense way. So he gives you the technique of how to achieve enlightenment. And I know how that sounds if you don't know a lot about meditation, or if you've just heard about it. But basically what he says is that meditation is a mental exercise, which is so a mental exercise whose goal it is to help you achieve focus and awareness. So basically you can clear out your mind and focus it more directly on the things that you do. So every time you lose your keys and you're like you're looking for your phone and then you realize it's in your hand, this is you having no awareness. And then every time that you read a book and then you realize that the last 2 pages you were thinking about something else, that's your attention. So when you have awareness and attention, you can be mindful, and then you can direct your mind and focus on certain things which are happening around you. And he gives a very clear way from the body positioning, the breathing technique, ideas of authors from the Buddhist school of thought from the last 2,000 years. And because he's also a scientist, he very clearly creates a way for you to, like, if you meditate every day and if you focus on your breath, if you focus on the positioning of your body, and then slowly increase your awareness and attention by breathing properly, you come to a state where you can indefinitely hold your focus on a certain thing. And like, who doesn't want that? Like, in today's world, everybody's doing all this, self-awareness, self-improvement, a bunch of, are learning a lot of skills. But, very rarely people think about, like, what's the best way to do it so that you can apply it to anything. And I mean, for that, you need to have a peace of mind. You need to have a clear way of thinking. And actually, most of us are, concerned with negative self-thoughts. Is this something I can do? Oh, I feel awkward. No, this is like, I feel ashamed about that thing. What if tomorrow I have a fight with my partner? Or like, what if I don't get the job when I graduate?
What if?
So most of the worry scenarios that we have in our minds, they will never happen. Like, you have, let's say, you have a fight with your mother, and then, you have this whole conversation in your head. I'm going to say that, she's going to say that, and then I'm going to reply this, and she's going to say that. And then, you come home and she says hi, and you say hi, and you don't have that fight. And then you're like,
why did you worry?
Create a whole story which is now completely useless,
Exactly.
So, I mean, meditation can also help you with that. It can help you when your mind starts spinning and going into that, you can like bring it back. And you can be like, okay, this is something that is in my head. I'm thinking about this. It's not real. Like right now I'm feeling anxious or angry or sad, but it's going to pass. And I think that's a crucial skill for mastering almost anything, because most people fail when they feel bad.
Yeah.
But feeling bad is a totally subjective thing. It has nothing to do with reality. So if your house burns down, it's a tragedy because you lost everything in your life. But actually it's just a house, a piece of wood and glass that burned down. If you're safe, if you're healthy, if it didn't hurt you, the only thing that happened is this thing that burned down. You're still you. Nothing changed.
But now you got actors for plant flowers.
Right. I mean, that's the way to think about it. Thomas Edison said something like this. At one point, his factory started burning down, and it was a chemical fire, and he realized he can't put it out, right? So, you know the story, huh?
I do.
Right. So, he couldn't put it out, and he was like, he called his wife and he said, like, bring our son, like, bring our kid. And she was like, why? And he's like, because he's never going to see a fire like this again.
Yeah.
So, at least we can enjoy it in some perverse way, right?
Yeah,
because, like, there's nothing we can do. So we can just, at least, enjoy the fire.
Yeah, exactly.
So anyway, So book number 3, The Illuminated Mind by John Yeats. And okay, and I'm gonna give you one more book, more, but that's just a novel that I really, really like. I
perhaps keep the explanation a little shorter.
Okay, sure. A fantasy book by a guy called Joe Abercrombie. It's a book of amazing, really good writing. A little bit pulpy, with like crazy characters, and a good storyline. It's called the First Law Trilogy. It's 3 books, and the first book is called Best Served Cold. No, that's not it. No, I messed it up. No. Okay, let's cut that. Let's cut that whole thing. Okay, so yeah, 3rd book. Just finish with me on the 3rd book.
Yeah,
and if you want, I give you one more clip. I can give you one more clip. Just if you want to finish.
There's I did have one more question.
Okay, right. So let's just start from there.
Okay, so I'll cut it later on.
Okay.
So the last question I just want to ask you is, I always hear in interviews people asking, what kind of advice would you give your past self? But I also think it's important to give our future selves some kind of advice, because we forget a lot of the principles we follow sometimes in life. So I'm wondering, what advice would you give your future self?
It's an interesting question. Keep writing notes. Keep writing notes about the things that you do. Like, I have quite a big selection of notes that I have about the things that I do. It's not really a journal, it's more like the things that I study and encounter. And I put them in different categories, like, exercise. Keep collecting things about exercise and then checking what works, what doesn't, and like writing my notes about it.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it's like a type of doing research.
Yeah.
But I would say keep writing notes, and don't read books without writing notes, because you're going to forget.
Yeah.
And you can read a lot, and if you're like a person who likes to read, but you don't take notes, it's almost useless. So I would say, keep notes, and then go back to your notes. Also, don't collect notes and then never read them again.
Yeah.
Read them quite frequently.
Yeah.
Go through the things you think are important, and then cut off the fat, things that don't stick or that don't work, and then keep that nugget of knowledge, because people say knowledge is power, but knowledge is not power. Knowledge is potential, and power is using that potential. And then wisdom is knowing when and how to use that potential.
Yeah, and I think Mark Manson, or there is another guy I've also heard say that exact same thing.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. Actually, I think it was James Marshall.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who's that?
He's actually he's a pickup artist. But
right.
like when he said that wisdom is knowing when to take an opportunity.
Right. Yeah.
And I totally agree with him. And you just summed it up really nicely with those 3 points too. I
Right.
like that.
All right.
Yeah. So yeah, great advice for any of our future selves,
Right.
And so, thanks for doing this interview today. Like, I think we got a lot of awesome subjects that we talked about here.
And many things you can cut out and make it more attractive and interesting. So.
Well, sometimes it's kind of nice to keep stuff like warts and all.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it's been a pleasure. I hope I'm your first.
Yep. Damir First, my first interviewee.
So hopefully you will have many more guests, and one day I'm going to be watching somebody very successful, famous, interesting on your podcast interview thing, show, whatever. So anyway, good luck with everything.
Yeah, you too, man.
Okay. Are we going to shake hands? No, you're going to
No, whatever.
Okay.